The 1893 Gotham's World Fair was meant to be the city's triumphant entry into the modern age, a brilliant gold city showcasing human progress. But from its very first days, a shadow fell across the exhibition halls. Commissioner Gordon found a playing card, the Ace of Spades, laying in a shallow grave outside of the fair with a knife, a question mark carved on the blade. This was the first public challenge of the individual that the papers had dubbed the Riddler. Gordon recognized that the assault on Oswald Cobblepot's interests prior to this had been the precursor to this larger game. The Riddler's goal was not just the fair, but the very principle of order it represented. Gordon had one suspect in mind. Ian Ashton, the wealthy English financier, was a nagging, smirking presence at planning sessions for the fair, offering veiled criticisms of the security arrangements. He had cultivated the increasingly unstable Harvey Dent, whispering in his ear that the fair was a tribute to the falsehoods of men like Bruce Wayne. Gordon had no concrete evidence to pin down on Ashton, but Gordon had developed a keen sense for foul play in his years on the Gotham police force. He shared his thoughts on this, and specifically the playing card outside the fair, with the Batman. Each of the Riddler's incursions were acts of intellectual vandalism, and as the fair progressed, the incursions increased in their frequency. One day, the fair's enormous automaton Viking ship exhibit was found chugging along a lake of green-dyed water, its toy Viking warriors deployed to hold signs saying, "Who am I?" Another day, the entire Gotham history display had been meticulously redecorated to imply Wayne and Cobblepot wealth were founded on butchery and pillage. Both Bruce Wayne and Oswald Cobblepot, two of the fair's biggest donors, were furious at this. Every gag was prefaced with a riddle, presented on specially printed cards, making fun of the powers that be's deafness to the starkly evident. Bruce Wayne, who was present at the fair with his fiancée, the smart and philanthropic Julie Madison, witnessed in growing dismay. He explained to Julie that this was not like Professor Pig's violence or the Penguin's greed. This was a calculated attempt at humiliation and at exposing. Julie expressed concern as well, but reassured Bruce that they should have faith that the situation would be resolved. Bruce agreed with Julie, but his interpretation of her words meant taking matters into his own hands. As the Batman, his quest led him to the recently opened hotel on the edge of the fairgrounds, the Labyrinthine Hotel. An engineering marvel of the modern age, it was a huge, dizzying structure of revolving corridors, blind alleys, and rooms with no visible purpose. Ian Ashton owned it, and Ashton was more than willing to give the Bruce Wayne a tour with pride, basking in the building's complexities.
A man without puzzles is like a room without furniture,
Ashton quipped, his eyes twinkling. Ashton's words indicated a keen intellect, but Bruce noticed other things about Ashton that didn't add up. Ashton took a couple wrong turns over the course of the tour, even if he managed to get them back on track. Bruce's keen observations caught a whiff of a trap, but found nothing illegal here, merely a love of games and bewilderment that also doubled as a place for tourists to stay during the fair. He left with the disturbing feeling that the hotel itself was a riddle, and Ashton one of its components. After this investigation, the puzzles and incidents at the fair soon escalated from chaos to terror. The fair's electrical system failed, and Gotham City was plunged into darkness. When the lights were restored, the mayor's aide was found in the Hall of Inventors, locked inside a giant, transparent puzzle box, which was slowly filling with water. A riddle was left on the wall. I have cities, but no houses. Forests, but no trees. Water, but no fish. What am I? As the police labored to figure out the physical puzzle to save the man, Bruce Wayne, watching from the crowd with Julie, had the realization. The answer was a map. The crime was a map of the Riddler's mind and his scheme to remap Gotham in his image. After excusing himself and accessing a stash of his nearby, Bruce suited up as the Batman and helped the police solve the puzzle, saving the mayor's aide. As the police thanked the Batman, the Bat turned to face the crowd. He first saw the face of Ian Ashton, twisted in rage, staring back at him from the crowd. The Bat watched Ashton realize that he had been seen by the masked vigilante and turned to leave the scene. The second face he saw was that of Julie Madison staring back at him. Beneath his cowl, Bruce could feel her eyes burning into him. Julie had a look of awe and stark recognition on her face. Bruce knew in that moment that, in his haste, he had made it very clear to Julie what his true nature was. The Batman left the scene, knowing that he would need to have that conversation with Julie, and also knowing that Ian Ashton's undertakings needed a closer look. Suspicious of Ian Ashton's reaction to the mayor's aide being rescued, the Batman returned to Ashton's business. His investigation grew to a theatrical showdown at the Labyrinthine Hotel. The hotel interior struck the Batman differently this time. The layout had drastically changed, and the Bat could almost have sworn that the configuration of rooms was shifting constantly. Some of the rooms were deadly in nature. The Bat found himself trapped in a room with blades swinging from the ceiling and had to maneuver his way past them. He found himself trapped in another room that was airtight and beginning to fill with gas. He escaped by using his brass knuckles to pound his way out of the room. The maze-like corridors of this hotel only added to the confusion and chaos that the Batman experienced. Through grueling trial and error, the Batman determined that the beating heart of this hotel was the boiler room. There he discovered Ian Ashton, not elegant and intellectual, but crazed and manic. Covered in blueprints and detailed models of the fair, Ashton raved about proving his intellectual superiority.
They all thought I was nothing. A clerk, a nobody. I have orchestrated this symphony of chaos.
The Batman easily overpowered him, the evidence clear in his mind. Ashton's diaries detailed all the crimes, his possession of the green dye and puzzle devices a certainty. As the police arrived, Ashton became silent. The Batman asked him why he had done this, attacking the fair, constructing this hotel. Ashton merely smirked, stating that the Batman was asking the wrong question. Ashton was committed to Arkham, muttering that the game wasn't even halfway over. With Ashton in custody, Gotham breathed a sigh of relief. The fair continued and a sense of normalcy returned. Bruce Wayne, however, was plagued by the inconsistencies in his investigation. The riddles had a cruel, elegant wit that Ashton's frantic boasting lacked. It had not been lost on Bruce that Ashton himself had gotten turned around at times while giving him a tour of the hotel. Visiting Ashton in Arkham, the Batman found a broken man muttering about what gave him the ideas for his sabotage of the fair, what had guided his hand.
The final riddle is the solver,
Ashton whispered, before descending into incoherence. Bruce dismissed it as the ravings of a madman, but the seed of doubt was planted. Bruce begrudgingly dismissed this as the attacks on the fair had ceased. Meanwhile, his fiancée, Julie Madison, was a pillar of strength, using her family's resources to help fund the fair's recovery. She used her family's charitable trust, the Gotham Madison Funds, to help aid the city's recovery. She also volunteered at shelters for the poor, displaced by the city's rapid growth. Her intelligence and compassion seemed the perfect antidote to the Riddler's nihilism. Bruce found himself extremely grateful for her. Not long after Ashton's arrest, Bruce approached Julie and they made plans to finalize their engagement. They planned to get married after the fair had concluded. In spite of his initial tabling of the inconsistencies in his investigation, Bruce could not help but return to them. The Batman's continued investigation into the hotel's ownership papers revealed a string of shell companies, but one name appeared with curious frequency as a silent investor. A trust that was abbreviated simply GMF. Bruce knew of only one such fund in Gotham and acted accordingly. Returning to Julie's apartment in the city, he found Julie in the parlor there. Confronting her, Bruce Wayne voiced his suspicions gently, fearing for her safety. He told her that he knew that the Gotham Madison funds had helped refurbish the Labyrinthine Hotel. Julie calmly explained that it was a simple investment in urban renewal, a project she had hoped would be a legacy for their future together. She stated that she could have had no idea that it would be bought by a maniac. Julie turned the conversation back to Bruce, expressing concern for his obsession with the captured Riddler, urging him to let the past go and focus on their upcoming marriage and life together. She told him that she knew he was the Batman. She told him that she didn't necessarily disapprove of his choice to wear a mask and fight crime. But Julie, with tears in her eyes, told him that she was scared for his life. Her reasoning was impeccable and her demeanor sincere. Bruce consoled her, telling her that he would be fine. She asked him to leave and wanted some space to think. Bruce left, apologizing and wishing her a pleasant evening. His doubts had been soothed by her sincerity, but his guilt at accusing her of being involved in Ian Ashton's plans weighed heavily on him. Just as Gotham had begun to breathe easy with the arrest of Ian Ashton, a corpse was found in the main promenade of the fairgrounds. A businessman had been impaled through the chest with a cane resembling the shape of a question mark. It was the owner of the Ace Playing Card Company, Philip Kane. James Gordon and the Batman investigated the scene, and Bruce realized that this was far from over. The only clue at the scene was a note. It was addressed to the Bat. It simply read, "Ace in the Hole," and was signed E.N. The Batman thought of that first incident, the playing card laying in a shallow grave at the start of this all. He surmised that the Riddler had been hinting at this murder from the start. But who, if Ashton was still in Arkham, was responsible for this murder? The Batman left a confused Gordon at the crime scene and rushed to Arkham. When he arrived there, however, he found the guards unconscious and Ian Ashton dead in his cell, covered in blood. Scrawled in blood on the walls were the words, "Wrong again." Before he could react, the Bat felt a painful impact on the back of his head. His vision swam as he hit the floor, but he could feel his consciousness fading. He heard footfalls behind him as a silhouette loomed over him.
Ashton was a fascinating student, but so limited. He thought the game was about winning.
A voice said. It continued.
But you and I both know that it's about revealing the ace in the hole.
This was the last thing the Batman heard before his vision went dark, and he fell into unconsciousness. When the Batman awoke, he was tied to an operating table. As he looked around, he realized that he was once again within the Labyrinthine Hotel. As he strained against the chains wrapped around him, a figure stood up from a darkened corner of the room. The figure walked towards him slowly, the light illuminating them. They wore a bowler hat, a mask, and a long coat. The Batman strained to see the figure as they reached up to remove their mask.
"Hello, Bruce,"
a familiar voice said. Julie Madison, her eyes gleaming with a cold light Bruce had never seen, revealed her true identity. She was the architect of the chaos, the mind behind the Riddler. Ian Ashton had been a pawn, an easily manipulated narcissist she had met through her charity work, whose resentment she weaponized. She had fed him the ideas, the riddles, the blueprints for the hotel's tricks.
"All of Gotham's monsters are men,"
she stated, pacing the stage.
"Pig, cobblepot, dent. They act out of rage or greed or pride. So brutish. I wanted to create a crime of pure intellect, to prove that the greatest prison is the one made of lies, and the only escape is the truth."
Bruce was utterly in shock as all of the pieces fell into place. Julie had instructed Ashton to corrupt Harvey Dent. Julie had written to Laszlo Valentine during his incarceration. The E.N. that had signed the note that led him here had not been Ashton. It was the last two letters of Julie's first and last name. Julie, the true Riddler, led a stunned Bruce on a forced tour of her masterpiece by wheeling the table he was on through the hotel. The labyrinthine hotel was her murder castle. She showed him hidden passages behind walls, rooms with gas jets designed to asphyxiate occupants, and chutes that led directly to the furnace. Her goal was not just murder, but the ultimate exposure. The Riddler had lured unsuspecting people here tonight to perish, and she had lured the Batman here to unmask him before the world. Each of her hostages were trapped in different rooms, with their deaths imminent.
The greatest riddle in Gotham,
she said, stopping before a wall-sized map of the city,
is how a boy, orphaned by chaos, became a creature of order. The answer is trauma. And I am here to solve you.
A desperate battle of wits and wills ensued to save the hostages' lives. The Batman, still chained to the table, had to solve her deadly puzzles to prevent the hotel's mechanisms from killing the guests trapped in other rooms. She had studied him, anticipating his every move, using his own deductive processes against him. It was a psychological duel, each riddle designed to fracture his identity. The Batman found his mind slowly unraveling. The betrayal of the woman he loved, and who he thought loved him, impacted him more than he wanted to admit. It did not help his mind that he was still disoriented from being knocked unconscious. The riddles persisted, but with each new question, the Batman worked a hidden blade out of his glove and began attempting to free himself. The Riddler asked another riddle.
What is broken the moment you speak its name?
She asked, as a wall of spikes began to close in on a hostage.
Silence!
He growled, breaking free of his restraints. The chain links went flying as he utilized his escapology training. He pushed the Riddler out of his way, knocking her to the ground. The Batman hit the switch controlling the wall of spikes just in time, saving the hostage. The Riddler got to her feet and ran towards the hotel's stairwell. The Batman gave chase. The final confrontation occurred on the hotel's roof, overlooking the glittering, oblivious fair. Julie, cornered but triumphant, held up a remote trigger.
One last riddle, Bruce. I am the beginning of the end of time and space. I am essential to rebirth, and I surround every place. What am I?
As the Batman advanced, he saw the answer not as a word, but as a pattern. The gas lines from the hotel ran toward the fair. She planned to ignite the entire fairgrounds. In that split second, he chose not to solve the riddle, but to break the game. He tackled her, not as the Batman, but as Bruce Wayne, the man she had pretended to love. The trigger clattered to the roof as they struggled. As police swarmed the building, Julie Madison looked at Bruce not with anger, but with a twisted pride.
You finally understood,
she whispered.
The riddle was never just the game. It was everything.
As she was pulled away, she winked at the Bat and leaned in close to him.
Your secret is safe with me,
she whispered to him. Her final laugh echoed in the night, a sound as chilling as any of the Joker's grimaces. As Gotham's newest and most terrifying monster was led away, her intellect finally and fatally laid bare. The Batman stared after her. He was broken, shattered, and betrayed. The woman he had loved had turned out to be the monster he had sought from the start of this conflict. It would hurt at first, but Bruce would eventually decide to steel himself against it. This betrayal solidified a grim resolve within him, that Gotham would never stop needing the Bat. And, on a deeper level, he knew that he would never stop needing the Bat either.